Hey guys, I know, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I suck, I'm the worst. When is the last time I uploaded a video? Probably like almost 2 weeks ago, over a week ago, I know that. Shockingly, I've actually been somewhat busy lately. I know, it's hard for me to believe too. I've picked up a volunteer position recently, so I've been training for that. Also, I just went to see Straight Out of Oz last night. It was amazing. But even more amazing as I got to meet Todrick, and I shat myself continuously afterwards. I love him so much. He was amazing. The show was amazing. Everything was amazing. Meeting him was amazing. Anyway, on with what this video is actually supposed to be about. My window is open, so I'm sorry if you hear a bunch of noises. I don't know. This is kind of the only place I can film in my house right now. As all of you know, I've gone through my entire life looking much younger than I am. Even when I was 10 or 11, everyone thought I was 6. When I was 15 or 16, people still thought I was 6. And I made a video kind of like this before, like 3 or 4 years ago, which is absolutely terrible, and I'm pretty sure I put it on private because I just couldn't bear it to be on the internet any longer. It was called Short Problems, and I basically just talked about some random things that I have dealt with, I guess, throughout my life while being a little person and just looking young and whatever else. It's very possible that I could be repeating a few things in this video, and no, I will not go and check because I physically can't watch that video. I physically can't watch a lot of my recent videos either. That's how much I cringe at myself. Okay, one of the funniest things that still happens to this day, especially if I'm with like a group of adults, if I'm with like friends or my parents or anything like that, I'll walk into a restaurant and the host, whatever the fuck, won't even make eye contact with me, won't even acknowledge my existence. They know I'm there though, but they just don't acknowledge my existence. And they look straight at the person that's with me and ask, "Do you need a kids menu?" And it's the funniest fucking thing ever because the fact that they like, I don't know if this is gonna make any sense. As I get older, I start to notice like how different they really do see me. Like, this isn't like, oh, I'm so different and sad. No, it's genuinely funny and interesting to me, and that's why I want to talk about it. And I feel like, do I talk about this shit too much? I'm sorry. I just genuinely think it's interesting and funny, and like, nobody really thinks about this stuff, and that's kind of why I want to touch on it. But the thing is, like, I understand the fact that none of these people realize what they're doing. The average person, they see someone my height, I'm about 4 feet tall, they see someone my height out of the corner of their eye, and they automatically think that's a child. I get it, because I think the same thing most of the time. And thankfully now I'm at the point where I not only look a little bit older, but I have piercings and tattoos, so it's a little bit easier for people to tell now. So like from a distance, especially if I'm wearing like clothes that cover my tattoos and you can't really see my piercings from far away, that is where I still get the fucking confusion. It's definitely super frustrating, and it's always going to frustrate me in some regard, I think. But I'm definitely past the point that I was at when I was a kid, where it literally infuriated me to the point where I would think about it for the rest of the day, and it would just ruin my mood. Now, I'm at the point where I can just laugh at it and be like, oh, another one of those, you know? It makes me think back to when I went to VidCon for the first time in 2014. I looked even younger then. I was about 16 at the time. And I didn't have any tattoos or piercings yet. I was just a little baby child. But I wasn't that much of a baby child. But I'm pretty sure everyone else thought I was that much of a baby child. Cause like thinking about it now, like I went up and I met Bart Baker. Dude definitely thought I was like 9 years old. Understandable. Completely understandable. But he totally thought that. And like thinking back on it now is like, good job, Taylor. Good job. Like, I could fucking control that, but, I don't know. It's like shit like that makes me cringe. Like, oh, I met this YouTuber that I love so much, and the whole time they thought I was, like, 10. my life. But one thing that's really funny and happens to me more now than it did when I was a kid. Well, it did happen before, but not as much. The amount of little kids that just stare me down when I'm out in public is laughable. The average kid cannot walk by me without doing a double take. And I've just kind of gotten, like, used to it at this point. Like, I expect it now. But sometimes what I'll do if I'm really feeling petty that day and I notice a child staring me down and not breaking gaze, I will stare at them right back, and if they still don't look away, I'll smile at them, and if they still don't look away, I'll give them a sarcastic ass wave. And that's exactly what I did at the boardwalk like a month ago when I went with my two friends, and there was this little boy who was standing with like his other friends. And no, there's different levels of staring, okay? There's staring just for a few seconds, which I understand because I'm a confusing being, okay? I get it. Then there's, walking and staring, and then there's staring and then walking and then staring again. And then there's standing and staring. And then there's standing and whispering and staring. And then there's staring. There's standing and whispering and pointing and laughing and staring. There's so many different ways I've seen it done. So this particular kid was probably like 11 or 12, and he was standing with a girl who was probably like his sister or his friend or something, I don't know. And he was looking at me and like whispering to her, and I stared right back at him, and he kept staring at me, and he saw me looking back at him, and then he did it again. This is where it gets funny. He kept looking at me, so my petty ass went like this. Like, fucking ew, I know, ew, but like, what do you just get to a point where it's so fucking annoying and blatantly rude that you just have to show them that they're being a dick, even though he was like 12, but still, a 12-year-old should know at that point. And then, this is the thing, then he mocked me to his friend. He like, I saw him. I was right there, my dude. Like, you're not slick. He was whispering something to his friend, and then he went, like how I did. And then he looked back at me and saw that I saw him do that. Oh, it was so satisfying. It was great. Also, sometimes when I go to a restaurant, and if the waiter isn't really paying attention, sometimes they'll give me a kid's cup, which is really great, and then I have to ask for an adult cup because the kid cup is too small, and I'll drink it in like 3 sips. Just midget things. See, that brings me back to the word midget, okay? Sometimes it really makes me mad when people say that. Other times it doesn't really bother me. It used to really offend me, like to the point where I thought it was basically like the N-word for little people. It's not. Relax. I'm not comparing it to that. Call me little ass. But I'm just saying, that's how I felt about it, because to me, that's kind of like how people would use it, like in a derogatory, offensive way. Clearly, I'm fine with it now. Like, I use it as a joke to myself all the time. But I guess what does still bother me about it today is when people use it in a serious way to seriously describe a little person or a dwarf. Honestly, people think dwarf is more offensive than midget. I think midget is more offensive than dwarf, because dwarf is like an actual term that medical personnel and doctors use. No fucking doctor or surgeon or genetic specialist uses the word midget to describe anything. But if I hear people saying like, oh, I saw a midget the other day, it's like I get it if that's the only word you know and like it's not really a part of your life, so you don't really think about it. I get that. But it's just like, no, that's not a category. Is it though? I don't know. It's not like one of those things where if you say midget in front of me, I'll be like, no, like it's not like that. It just makes me cringe a little bit when I hear people use it in like a serious way or like a non-sarcastic or ironic way. Like, that makes me cringe a little bit, but it doesn't like offend me or make me cry or anything like that. Now, I cannot wait to turn 21. Not just for the reason that everyone's excited to turn 21 because they get to legally drink and all that happy, fun stuff. I'm excited to turn 21 so that I can experience the debauchery. What does that even mean, actually? Siri, what does debauchery mean?
Debauchery means excessive indulgence in sensual pleasures.
What? I thought it meant like the chaos, you know? Or like the event of whatever. I'm just excited for the fuckery that will be me trying to either buy alcohol or get into a bar or a club sometime in the future. I can't wait for them to like try to say I have a fake ID or something. I know that's gonna happen at least once. I can't wait to walk up to the counter of a liquor store with a bottle of Fireball and see the look of sheer confusion on their face and have to deal with that awkward encounter. I've been preparing my entire life for that moment. I've been preparing my entire life to deal with because up until now I haven't really had to deal with my age affecting something like that. Like, I've never had to worry about my age allowing me to get in somewhere or buying something. I mean, when I turned 18, yeah, I guess, for some things, but debauchery! That's what they say in that SpongeBob episode where they're stealing the panties. Oh my god. Wait a second. They really had a SpongeBob episode about stealing SpongeBob's grandma's panties. Or was it Mr. Krabs' mom's panties? What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm thinking about that now and I'm terrified. Okay, that's not what this video is about, but holy shit.
Debauchery!
Debauchery! Debauchery!
I also can't wait to see the look of confusion on the faces of the other customers. That's probably gonna be worse. If I go to a bar, like the other people at the bar are probably gonna give me so much shit because they're gonna be drunk, and you know drunk people just don't know when to shut the fuck up. So that's gonna be great, but it's gonna result in a lot of story times in the future. I'll tell you that. So check back in about a year and a half, and I'll tell you how that's going. Just to throw in a couple other random little snippets. A lot of you know that I pretty much grew up in a hospital for most of my childhood because I was so sick all the time. That has a lot of stories that I probably don't really remember very well, but I'm sure my parents do. That's mainly just like nurses treating me like a baby and babying me and acting like I'm, you know, I need all this extra comfort when really I'm like, shove a needle in me, queen. You know, I've done this a million times already. This is nothing new. That was annoying because one thing that I hate, and I've hated since before I can remember, is when people like, oh, look at you, little sick child or whatever. That pisses me off, and it always has, because like, I don't know, maybe it's just I would never do that to someone else. Like, I would never walk up to another human being, no matter how handicapped they were. I would never like go up to them and speak to them in that. That's so, what is the word? Demeaning? Is that the... Siri, what does demeaning mean?
As an adjective, it means causing someone to lose their dignity and the respect of others.
Yes.
There are two more, if you'd like them.
Okay. Yeah, so I've always hated that. I've hated anytime someone like underestimates my, I don't want to say underestimates my strength, because that sounds so cocky. But basically, like, whenever anyone underestimates my ability to do anything, that lights a fire. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was a little bit entertaining or interesting for you. I have countless stories and experiences that have to do with this, but I just have to think about it because, honestly, I think I suppress them and then I just forget about them. So I either have to like ask my parents if they remember any, or really sit down and think about it, because I know there's some funny ones, like funny specific ones, because it happens to me like on the daily almost, especially as a kid, but not as much now. I kind of just get the staring now. However, since moving to Santa Cruz, I will say this. Since moving to Santa Cruz, or California in general, I've noticed a massive decrease in the judgment. I don't get stared at nearly as often in Delaware. I used to get stared at every time I got out of my car because people were confused as to how I could be driving. Like a couple weeks ago, I went to Starbucks and this lady actually stopped me just to tell me that I was beautiful. And it wasn't in like a way like, you're so beautiful that you're a midget and you're still beautiful. Like, it wasn't like that. It was like genuine, and I was like, this is foreign to me. Because like not to like stigmatize or stereotype Delaware, but it's very, very different back east, I will say. It just is. And I think I've always been meant to live here. I've always felt like Santa Cruz was my home, even before I lived here, because I used to visit all the time since my dad grew up out here. I've just had this weird connection with Santa Cruz my whole life, and I've never felt so like comfortable in where I've lived. I remember my mom and I, this is a long story, and maybe I'll make a video talking about this another time, but my mom and I moved to Utah for a few months. It was, like I said, a long story. And the entire, like, I wanted to move there, but the entire time I lived there, I wanted to be happy and I wanted to love it, but I just had this underlying feeling of just, like, discomfort and, like, this underlying feeling of just wanting to move back home, like, the entire time. And what I've noticed since I've moved to Santa Cruz is I haven't even had one speck of that feeling. I feel completely content here, and I'm so happy to be able to say that. And not to turn this into the cheesiest video ever, but as a lot of you know, 2016 was the worst year of my life, probably, and I can finally say that now I'm finally starting to be truly happy again and find myself and realize that I can do things without another person, and I can live my life and prosper on my own. And that's a good-ass feeling, and I didn't think I would feel that, honestly. Like, I really didn't think that I would get to that point, especially not this soon. I for sure still have my days where I wish everything could go back to the way it was, but then I think about it and I'm like, do I really wish that it could go back to the way it was? Like, do I really? Because I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but all you guys need to know is I am doing much better, and I'm just excited for what the future holds, because so much has already happened in the past 6 months, which is insane that I've lived here for 6 fucking months almost. But yeah, so many positive things have happened for me in the past 6 months that I didn't think would happen, and I cannot describe how grateful I am for finally being able to push up out of that hole. And you guys are a giant part of that. If I didn't have this platform and this family, I know it's fucking cheesy and lame and everyone says that, but seriously, if I didn't have you guys, I don't know what I would be doing. I don't know where I would be, truthfully. So, thank you, and I love you all. And subscribe if you feel like it, because I am supposed to put out new videos every Monday and Friday, but I've been sucking about it lately, but I'm gonna really try to be better, and I'm not giving up. I want you guys to know that. I'm not giving up. This is not the beginning of the end. I'm gonna keep pushing. I promise. I'm not going anywhere. I love you all so much. I already said that, but who cares? Thank you so much for watching and supporting me. And as usual, I don't know what this was, but I will see you all in my next video. Love you, bye!